Despite one of my favorite Instagram accounts saying that liquid blush is less popular than powder blush, I'm going to be doing a video comparing all the liquid blushes on the market. Before I get into talking all things liquid blush, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you'd like to see more from me. If you know someone that enjoys liquid blush, they probably own Rare Beauty. And in July 2023, Bloomberg reported that Rare Beauty liquid blush generated $70 million in revenue in 2022 alone. The brand was projected to triple in revenue in 2023. If you're someone who is chronically online, especially in the beauty space, you know the Rare Beauty blush phenomenon. People putting one too many dots on, people using the palm of their hands to blend the blush, people mixing different shades to get a custom shade of theirs, underpainting, the sunset blush trend, people mixing it with their Positive Light liquid luminizer to get a shimmery finish, which eventually led to the innovation of the luminous pressed powder blush that they recently released, and then using the liquid blush with the luminous powder blush to create even more combinations. I could go on and on, we've seen it all. The Rare Beauty liquid blush seriously has become a hero product, and it's what we immediately think of when we think of Rare Beauty. It gives the same feeling as when we think of Benefit, we think of their Hoola bronzer. When we think of Maybelline, we think of the pink and green Great Lash Mascara, the House Labs foundation, the One Size setting spray. I could go on and give more examples of this, but the point being is that the liquid blush from Rare Beauty totally transformed the beauty landscape with their competitors. We have liquid blushes from Saie, e.l.f., Juvia's Place, and now Huda Beauty and ColourPop. So I'm going to be putting all of these brands to the test and seeing how I like the formula of each. I'm going to be looking at the logistical differences of each blush as well. I feel like it's only right to start off with Rare Beauty herself, so that's exactly what I'm reaching for. My favorite full-size shade that I have is Encourage, so I'm going to be going in with this shade. I like to put it on the back of my hand because I know we're all familiar with how pigmented it can be. I love their dense blush brush. I think it works super well with their liquid blush, and I think you have much more control of the pigment this way so that it doesn't take over your makeup. And a tip that they showed me at a masterclass that I went to at their HQ, they take the back of the dense blush brush and you blend it so you don't have like a straight line on your face. From all my experience that I've had with this blush over the years, it's super easy to go overboard, but with the brush it makes it a lot easier. But if I'm not using this brush or if I'm using a sponge, the sponge takes up all the product. It's a learning curve of a product, I have to say. And this is what Rare Beauty Encourage looks like on my cheeks. I already know I love this product. Y'all already know I love this product by looking at all the shades I have. She's a banger. She's a banger and she's a cultural moment. Overall, great product. A bit of a learning curve in my opinion, but I think once you get it down, the results are beautiful. It's why everyone's duping her. Back on day 2 with our second blush. This is the e.l.f. Camo liquid blush in the shade Dusty Rose. This seemed to be one of the more popular ones because it had 2 rows of it at Target. And if I can get it open, I would love to put it on. Okay, I got it. So far looking at the applicator, it's very rounded. I've never seen an applicator this round before. The pull is really nice coming out of it. It's the cheapest one out of all of these at $7, but like I said, we're getting into the logistics later. 1 dot on. Honestly, I'm gonna use my hand. I know I said I like to use the brush, but I really wanted to see how this one would fare. This doesn't seem like a 1 dot blush to me. This seems like you need 2. I like how you don't really have to blend quickly. You can take your time, you don't have to rush. And it's definitely a very light, I mean this is a bit more pigmented on this side. I think it melts into the skin really nicely. I think it's not as pigmented, which is probably what they were going for. It's a very natural looking flush to me, blended pretty easily. It's nice. It's just nice though. I don't know if it's anything special. It's nice. It gets the job done. It's a very pretty finish upon application. I like the healthy glow, healthy flush it added. I just don't necessarily know if I would run out and buy all the shades. Up next we have ColourPop. This is one of the newer formulas out of the 6 that I'm testing today. They say you can apply 1 to 2 dots and you can use either a brush, your fingertips, or a blending sponge. Can we talk about how cute this component is? Look at the heart at the top. It's pink. I love it, and it gives a pretty easy pull. The dough applicator is a flat top. It's not rounded like Elf's. I think Elf's is going to be the only one that's super rounded. Reminds me a lot of Rare Beauty. It looks very plush and it's nicely oversized. This is Culver City. This is a mid-tone warm nude, and just looking at the formula and putting it on my face, when I'm going to take a brush on this side, and I have no issue at all, even though I put that much product on my face. And I think it just blends out beautifully into the skin. It just melts into the skin, gives you that nice second skin finish. The formula is a bit different than the ones I've tried. It's giving more of a whipped, light and fluffy feel. It doesn't feel as liquidy, as thin as the other blush formulas that I've tried. I love how buildable it is, so you can have a very nice sheer look, or you can build it up to have a much more bold look like I'm doing. I really, really like this formula. I'm glad that they took their time to create it. It also has the claim of 8-hour wear, which I'm not super sure about, but I think that's also pretty cool. Yeah, I can see myself reaching for this one just due to the versatility and how nicely it sets into the face. Okay, this next one I'm super excited about because when I bought it at Sephora, she said it was her favorite liquid blush, and it's the one from Saie. Never tried their liquid blush, and I've been so curious. They also seem to have an oversized doe foot applicator. It has a slight angle to it, but not too much. And there's like a little dip in between that holds the product. I got it in the shade Baby, which is the pinkest blush I think I've ever seen. I'm scared this is gonna be really pigmented, so I'm gonna put this on the back of my hand, taking my brush to pick up some of the product. Ooh, that becomes your skin. Holy cow. I was a little nervous given how bright it was, but I think this might be one of my favorites. That Sephora worker was not lying. Specifically this shade I think could be the best Sabrina Carpenter pink blush shade. I also remember when bubblegum pink blush was kind of having a trending moment, and all of them were a bit much, but this one genuinely just, it looks so natural. This one's a more liquidy blush in terms of formula, which makes sense because it's a dewy finish and it gives you that shine. Saie, where have you been? Where have you been in my life? This relationship should have happened earlier. Moving on to Huda Beauty's new blush. I thought this one was fairly interesting. It has like an hourglass shape of an applicator. This is in the shade Watermelon Pop, which is a warm red terracotta brick shade. I've only ever tried one of Huda's products, and that's the pressed powder, and I love it. So I'm hoping that I will love this blush just as much. I put 2 dots. Maybe that was a little ambitious, but let's blend her out. Very pigmented. It's kind of giving me the same finish as the Saie blush. I'm gonna finish up with a brush here. It's very dewy like the Saie blush. Seems very similar to Rare Beauty, where a little goes a long way. But I really like how buildable it is. I like how it's dewy, just like the Saie blush. It's giving glass skin. My only thing is that I love the Saie one, so it's kind of like, why would I need this one if I have Saie? Or if you have Huda, why would you need Saie? I would love to see Huda make more shades of theirs. I don't quite understand the hourglass applicator, but I'm not mad about it. It didn't affect my experience in any way. It's cute. I am having a little trouble blending it from my foundation into the blush. I've been taking my foundation brush and like kind of going back and forth. So I would say that's like the only issue that I've had, but I don't think that's a product error. I think that's a user error. And last but not least, we have Juvia's Place Liquid Blush. I remember there was a little bit of a controversy with creators of my complexion using this because it was super pigmented, because it was not meant for us. So I'm gonna take the lightest dot ever. I want to say this is one of the more liquidy formulas that I'm using just upon application. The applicator is very slanted. She is very pigmented. Oh my gosh, I could have used half a dot. This is so funny. So I'm actually gonna use a sponge for this formula just because it soaks up a bit of the product when applying. That is so much more pigment compared to Rare Beauty, which is not a bad thing. I'm kind of like impressed. Like, how do you outdo doer. Oh my gosh, and I chose a lighter shade. I thought it would be easier. I didn't want to choose a shade that was not meant for my complexion, but wow. Obviously it took a little bit more to blend than the other products, but eventually we got there and I'm liking the finish that I'm seeing. I kind of like how pigmented it was because I have a heavy hand, so I tend to overblend. So the fact that like my overblending just turned out to look like a very beautiful blush on my face. This is a really good liquid blush. This would probably last me into the grave. Like I could give this down to my grandchildren. That's crazy. Now that we've tried all the blushes, let's talk logistics. So Rare Beauty, which was basically our control, has 13 shades and it runs for $23 with 0.25 fluid ounces. The only blush that is more expensive than the Rare Beauty blush is Saie by $2, but you get 0.4 ounces. So it's not necessarily double the amount, but it's a good amount of blush more than Rare Beauty's for only $2 more. However, there are only 9 shades, whereas Juvia's Place has 12 shades, which is only 1 shade less than Rare Beauty, and it's about the same amount of product that you're getting at 0.27 ounces, and it's $5 less than Rare Beauty's. e.l.f. goes for $7 and ColourPop goes for $10, which is more than half off from Rare Beauty's. e.l.f. being the most affordable product also has the least amount of product in it, sitting at 0.13 fluid ounces. There are about 9 shades, and I would say it's the most available product because it's at Boots, Amazon, Target, and Ulta. However, for only $3 more, you can get ColourPop at 0.3 ounces, and there's only 1 less shade. And last but not least, we have Huda Beauty, which has the least amount of shades, sitting at 5, and is the second to least amount of product that you get, sitting at 0.15 fluid ounces. Just a little bit more than e.l.f.'s, but triple the price of e.l.f.'s. Given my first impression of these, if you're wanting blush that packs more of a pigment, I would go with Rare or Juvia's Place. I think they have the most pigment out of all of these. Huda Beauty and Saie have the most identical finishes to them. It's very dewy. I think if you have Huda, you don't necessarily need Saie, or if you have Saie, you don't necessarily need Huda. Those two were the dewiest finishes out of all of them, I would say. It really looked like glass skin. e.l.f. I think is a great liquid blush if you don't really mind whether it's too dewy or too matte. I think it's a great natural finish. I just didn't necessarily think there was anything super special about them. As for ColourPop, I think this was the most different liquid blush out of all of these that I tried. All 5 of the other brands, I would say it was very liquidy, whereas ColourPop, it gave me a more like whipped texture to it. Overall, it just depends on your preferences and what's in your budget. I still love my Rare Beauty blushes, but outside of Rare, I really liked ColourPop and Saie's blushes. ColourPop simply because it was the most unique, and I thought that the other liquid blushes didn't necessarily have the same feel to them. Saie because it was the most amount of product for only $2 more compared to Rare Beauty, and I really like the dewy finish. If Huda had more shades and more product in their component, I think it would have been a closer call because I still really like both of the formulas. And Juvia's Place, I think, is perfect for when you want a really bright blush moment. I think it's great for deeper complexions. It has the second largest shade range right after Rare. Thank you so much for watching my first impressions and talking about the logistical differences of the liquid blush landscape. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and hit that subscribe button if you'd like to see more from me.